I really love your approach to educating and informing because it's totally different from anybody else that I've listened to, and I've listened to a lot. I was born and raised vegan, whole food, plant-based,
Oh,
and I'm
wonderful.
45 years old. And it was actually in a very spiritual household. So that was always incorporated. And I'm very, very blessed to have had such an experience. And I've enjoyed excellent health for my entire 45 years. Most everybody thinks I'm half my age. But I really have just learned so much from your talks, and it's expanded my mind because so many things that I really never thought about, even with years of studying and being very active. So I just appreciate it so much. You're like one of my heroes. And I'm just trying to keep up with everything I can find of your work. And so my question is just actually all of these wonderful insights that you have, like about how the difference in the protein content of the milk of, carnivores versus herbivores, or how our body is actually cooling our brain, like all these wonderful things. Like, how did you actually, or how were you inspired to research these kinds of details? As far as, I mean, I'm taking it as like a divine direction because it connects so many things that are so logical once you hear them. But personally, because I never ate meat, like even this talk today, when you don't eat it and you're young, you're trying to understand why is it like this? Because if you're raised without the conditioning, it's very confusing. Sure. So a lot of this too has made such clarity around things you struggle with if you have the good fortune of being supported as a person and an individual toward health, toward compassion, and toward taking care of the earth. So yeah, my question is, what was your inspiration with kind of researching all of these details that many of us would just never think of, but they make total sense?
Well, you really hit the nail on the head, and it was and a lot of people won't understand when I say this, that it was a divine tutorial that God kind of tutored me, and I don't mean that in a non-scientific sense, because I mean, God created the universe and he created it according to scientific principles, and he helped open up science to me to show me exactly how he put these things together. And for instance, the genesis of this, of this talk was, I was reading in the psychological literature one day about the emotional disgust. And as I'm reading about the elicitors of disgust. And then he just started talking to me and pointing things out. And it just took off from there. And so, yeah, I just have to say, it was a divine tutorial based on the science that I was learning in medical school and in undergraduate school. And yes, it did really tie things together and help things make so much sense. So
I had an intuition that's what it was, because it really strikes you in the heart that way of, oh my God, this is so beautiful, because it makes so much sense. And I just wanted to offer one more thing that I found recently that was really interesting. Is I was reading some information from Rudolf Steiner, and it actually went into about eating animal protein and animal fat, and how in an evolutionary sense, it's linked to the ability of humans to actually generate spiritual focus, direction, and integrity, that the animals are helping to provide that. And it's up to humans to actually come to be able to generate that on their own. So it was a really interesting older talk, but I'm just sharing that because along with your what I've learned from you, that was really helpful just as far as making sense of why it is that this is so prevalent and why we're at this tipping point right now on the planet. So thank you so much for your work. Bless you, and may you be healthy and strong for so many more years so we can learn more from you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too. Am I? Who's going?
Thank you, Sean.
Sorry about that. You know what, John? Sorry, I got it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
The next person is Sean. Did you do Shanti already?
We did Shanti.
So it would be Benny.
Okay. No, I think it's Linda.
You know what?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Linda. Great. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Mills. I wanted to get your thoughts about the fake meats like Beyond Beef and things like that, because they do really make them to look like beef. And so if you're talking about, the repulsion of things that look like meat, but then the synthetics that do their best to look like meat. So I just wanted to get your thoughts about those.
Sure. Well, it's kind of a Victor Victoria thing, because remember, the meats are made to actually mimic plant parts. And then because of our cultural habits, we then take plants and make them look like meats that are actually made to mimic plants. So I think that because of our cultural conditioning, people have taken these plant proteins and made them look like things that are familiar for people so that they can transition in a comfortable fashion. And then I want to also allay some concerns that people have about, are these things healthy, or can they be used in a healthy fashion? And there was a study done at Stanford University where they compared the Beyond beef products to regular meat. And it was a 8-week crossover study where they had two groups. For 4 weeks, one group was eating the Beyond product and the other group was eating meat. At the crossover point, the Beyond group switched over to meat and the meat group switched over to Beyond products. And what they showed was consistently, while the people were eating the Beyond product, their cholesterol dropped, their weight dropped, their blood pressure dropped, and importantly, their level of this very toxic compound called TMAO went down. But when they started eating meat again, it went back up. While they were eating meat, everything was up. When they switched to the Beyond, it went down. So what that says is that there is no question that the Beyond product is healthier than dead animal tissue. That is not to say you should build your whole diet around these artificial meats, but that they, when used judiciously and properly as an occasional part of your diet, they can be a healthful part of the diet. Now, as I told someone last night, the thing you don't want to do is, like, when you look at the way Americans typically eat a meal, there's this giant slab of animal tissue and a vegetable garnish. We shouldn't be doing that with the plant meats either. You want to have, if you use them, a small portion, the majority of what you eat should always be unprocessed plant foods, okay? That you want to make sure that whatever plate of food you consume, if you're using a Beyond burger or a Beyond sausage, that most of what you're eating are unprocessed whole plants with maybe a small portion of Beyond meat, or you chop it up and use it, distribute it throughout the the prepared dish. But that, again, the majority of what you're eating are unprocessed plant foods, and that a significant portion of that is raw.